The Tories have branded Rachel Reeves the UK's worst ever Chancellor after a budget for Benefit Street. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride sat down with GB News and called for Reeves to resign after what he called an unfair budget.
Prior to this budget, you said that if Rachel Reeves were to increase taxes on working people, she should resign. Do you stand by that, and do you think that after seeing the budget yesterday that the call is right?
Yeah, absolutely. She should step down, because at the end of the day, promises were made in the manifesto and subsequently not to increase taxes on working people. That's exactly what has happened in the budget.
Many people on the right fear that Rachel Reeves is the only thing standing in the way of a full-blown radical socialist chancellor coming in under Labour. Are you not worried what could come after Rachel Reeves?
Well, look, that's a matter for the Labour Party, but I'm already worried that what we've got is economic policy being basically dictated by the internal politics of the Labour Party. So the left of the Labour Party have pushed for an assault through the tax system on wealth, on job creation and wealth creation on the one hand, but equally this increase in spending on benefits, equally the fact that this Labour Party is not prepared to get a grip on government spending, particularly the welfare bill. So we're already seeing that influence within what's happening fiscally in our country.
What would you rate the budget out of 10? Were there anything positive in there?
Am I allowed a negative figure? Because that it would be down through the floor and beyond. Look, this budget was about all the wrong choices. It was about putting tax on hardworking people, okay, and that's what the income tax threshold freeze extension was all about, and at the same time spending more money on benefits, particularly scrapping the two-child benefit cap. And I think those are the wrong priorities. And what they should have been doing, and she should have been doing in the budget, is to actually get government spending under control and bear down both on the deficit and debt, but equally get taxes down, which is the way to help grow the economy.
Rachel Reeves says that she didn't have any choice because of the way the Tories left the country. Is she being honest there?
No, that's complete nonsense. She is in hock to her backbenchers, which means she can't control spending. That was the other option, particularly welfare spending. And the fact that she's ducked that is the reason why people are now facing higher taxes. So people that are working hard, doing the right thing, going out every day and working really hard in life are actually paying the price for the fact that she's taking the wrong choices.
And what's your take on the freeze to the income tax thresholds? And why do you think that she's done this past the next Parliament?
Well, so she's done it in order to make sure she raises money to try and meet her fiscal rules. But as I say, that is a choice. That is a choice as to whether you go for higher taxes or, as we would argue, you control spending.
And what was the most unfair levy that you think she imposed yesterday?
I think the income tax increase was pretty shocking. I mean, that's good to see something above 1.5 to 2 million people being either dragged into paying the basic rate of tax for the first time or dragged into paying the higher rate of tax, whereas they were previously in a lower tax band. And it will see 1 in 4 workers in our country paying the higher rate of income tax. And that is just not right.
These measures are thought to largely be so that Rachel Reeves is able to scrap the two-child benefit cap. But due to ONS family-size data, Pakistani and Bangladeshi communities from migrant communities are 3 times more likely to benefit than British families for this. Is that acceptable to the Tories?
Well, look, this isn't about who is going to be the beneficiary or the recipients of these particular benefits. It's about a principle of fairness that applies to everybody. And that is that if you are a taxpayer, then you have to take tough decisions as to the size of your family. And if you are a benefit recipient, it seems to be only fair that you should equally have to take those decisions and not expect the state to fund a family of whatever size you may choose.
So do you think that this budget has at all been fair on the young? We've got pensioners continuing to receive increases in what they receive due to the triple lock, but then we've got modest pension contributions now having their NI relief taken away. What would the Tories do?
So look, we should protect the triple lock for older people, and that's our policy. But for younger people, there are 2 things that are really damaging. One is the reduction in the threshold at which the national insurance tax kicks in. That is disproportionately affecting lower earners and therefore younger people. And the second thing is the Employment Rights Bill, which has provisions within it which make it much more risky to take somebody on who's young, who doesn't have a track record of working for somebody else, and that tends to be younger workers. So I'm afraid that what we've seen from this government is going to do a lot of damage to the prospects of younger people in our country.
Well, where the Chancellor's starting to treat young and old slightly differently in the tax system, could it be called a two-tier budget?
Well, we've seen some elements of complication being introduced as regards some of the measures that the Chancellor has announced. But the overarching point here is complication is a bad thing, but so is heaping up taxes on people that are out working, heaping up taxes on people that would otherwise be saving more, because that's a responsible thing to do. And it seems to me there's no overall strategy about growth within this budget. It's just a kind of pick and mix of ways of extracting more and more money from people through way of tax.
Rachel Reeves would say that she's putting up the national living wage for young people. Could that have unintended consequences, though?
Well, clearly, the higher the national living wage, the national minimum wage, those are costs that businesses have got to bear. And I think in more normal times, if you had a government that is pro-business and not loading up businesses with tax, then that's fine. That's something that can be accommodated. I think it's much more difficult for a lot of businesses who are just finding these additional costs, particularly national insurance, coming their way because of this Labour government.
And finally, Caleb Hammer, which is the #1 finance YouTuber over in America, he said on Twitter and on his YouTube, which has gone viral, that for a successful country, you should look at what the UK does and do the opposite. As someone who wants to be Chancellor of our country one day, how do you respond when people abroad, influential, successful people, talk about our country like that?
I think it's very sad. It makes me very sad that that's the case. I mean, look, we've got far too many people, including young people, leaving our country because they think the opportunities elsewhere are so much stronger. So you've got high net worth individuals, we've probably lost 16,000 of those since this Labour government came into office. The tax that they would have been paying if they hadn't left probably needs about 1/3 to 500,000 people on average earnings to cover that tax that's just walked out the door. So when people leave, successful people and wealthy people, people that are otherwise creating jobs and investments in businesses, everybody suffers. And this is something that this government just doesn't understand. So what I say in response to that comment is that what we've got to create is a society, is an economy that is open door for new investment, creates a very attractive investment environment, lower taxes, lower regulations, and then playing on all the advantages and strengths that we've got as a country. And there are many of them. But at the moment, we're just not in that place, I'm afraid.